It's October 28th, 2024, and this is the Watson Weekly, your essential e-commerce digest. Get ready for a spooky week. Today on our show, is 2024 the generative AI holiday? Amazon's new low-cost store concept might as well be called off-prime. Is 2025 the year bad e-commerce content officially dies? And BigCommerce expands its leadership team. And finally, the Investor Minute, which contains 5 items this week from the world of venture capital, acquisitions, and IPOs. But first, in our shopping cart full of news, is 2024 the generative AI holiday? Yes, say Amazon, Google, and Walmart. Amazon, a company who for decades has been more about search and spearfishing than browsing, consideration, and discovery directly on site, is using generative AI to generate guided search to help buyers discover unfamiliar categories, primarily enabled through the search bar. Walmart is attempting to ditch the search bar altogether in a different approach, generating a unique homepage for each shopper. Walmart has also made AI additions with Olivia, a seller assistant, and made use of generative AI for catalog attributes. Google, for its part, is generating AI briefs for shopping-oriented searches, as well as, finally, personalizing the Google shopping feed. History does tell us something, though. When big companies move, SaaS providers follows, and each of these features will be a SaaS ecosystem, if not winner. Personalization, merchandising, and search vendors have already been responding and will continue to respond. All 3 of these companies, Amazon, Google, and Walmart, refuse to be left behind in the battle for the convenience-oriented consumer. What do you think? For my money, it looks to me like Google is slightly ahead in AI but has a worse shopping experience, followed by Amazon with worse AI but better shopping, followed by Walmart starting their typical, for now, fast follower journey, racing to catch up. Our second story. Amazon's new low-cost store concept might as well be called off-prime. The industry has been buzzing in the last several months about Amazon introducing its own Temu-type product to respond to the ongoing cheap consumer trend. New details have now emerged on what's being called Amazon's low-cost store, though no launch date has been set yet. But let's not focus on the details for the moment and just assume what's going to happen is what we think is going to happen. Amazon is trying to match Temu. What does this say about Amazon? First-party Amazon was always supposed to be about sharp pricing. Third-party Amazon was always supposed to be about assortment. What now? First-party Amazon is no longer sharp enough because its manufacturers are too, you fill in the blank, principled, expensive, greedy, compliant, ethical? Or do you flip it around and blame the consumer? Is it because consumers are cheap, ignorant, unprincipled, uncaring, or simply stretched thin? All of the above? None of the above? Asking for a friend. According to sources like the Information and Brands Factory, here are the details on what Amazon is offering. It's still only open to a limited number of sellers right now. Inventory is being shipped to a warehouse in China and have a consumer delivery time of 9 to 11 days. Woof. Sellers have some price control, but categories and items have some limits, some less than $10, and overall, you can't list anything in a low-cost store greater than $20. Shipping incentives appear to be rich, like greater than 50% discount rich. And their consumer only has 15 days to make returns. Temu, for its part, demands items are 15% less than Amazon as a minimum, and I ask simply, how does this not become a death spiral? To respond to Temu, Amazon could have done 2 things: increase its quality unilaterally, or double down on consumer safety, supplier traceability, or sustainability. It's not doing either of those things. Instead, Amazon is doubling down on selection at all costs in a flawed reading of what Amazon's mission should be. For the past year, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy has been trying to get to the other side of the cheap consumer, meaning instead of consumers fleeing because they can't find the selection they want at the price they want, they come to Amazon to find both. And Amazon has I don't know, probably correctly concluded that this is where the mass market consumer in the United States is these days, despite the fact that freaking every CNBC pundit says the economy is going gangbusters. Sorry guys, these two things can't be true. What might such an off-prime service include? Eventually, the race to the bottom becomes the race to zero. Is Amazon going to introduce a new, quote, off-prime service? What might such a service include? Let me come up with a couple of thoughts. Instead of an A to Z guarantee, is it more of an FU guarantee? Instead of 30-day no-hassle returns, is it keep this crap, it's not worth as much as the packing tape to ship it back? And instead of guaranteed 1 to 2 day shipping, it's like, what do you expect? I've talked about this program being designed to avoid a reverse flywheel of selection decline, but it could accelerate a reverse flywheel of consumer dissatisfaction. Attention merchants. Stop trying to compete on price. Instead, you must trade on trust. It's the only way forward and the only way out of this trap. Our third story. Is 2025 the year bad e-commerce content officially dies? In 2024, RMW Commerce expanded from consulting into media and analysis. In 2025, we look to take it one step further. Are you planning your 2025 media budget? We're finalizing our last few slots for partners for the first half of next year and would love to have you in the mix. We already have the premier analysis and outlets in the space. In 2025, we will add co-production of exclusive in-person events, even more best-in-class content across more channels, and subscription services for our listeners who can't get enough. In the past 2 years alone, we've worked with companies like Pipe17, ShipBob, The Maze Group, Channel Engine, Shopware, Feedonomics, Vtex, Commerce Tools, and more, and we're just getting started. There are really 2 reasons companies work with RMW Commerce: thought leadership, co-produce exclusive content that speaks to your market, reintroduce your company to the market, and awareness. People listen because they know they find the best, hardest-hitting analysis in the space. We help you reach the influencers. Consulting, events, media, and analysis, all under one roof. Reach out to learn more. Thanks to my partners in crime, Vinny O'Brien, Jessica Laseski, Nick Kaplan, and Kaylee Sepulvedo, and the entire Citizen Race Car team. Reach out if you want to be part of the movement. We love new collaborators. And our last story. BigCommerce expands its leadership team. First, get the right people on the bus. That's what everyone always says, right? As CEO, Travis Hess is clearly prioritizing known quantities in his leadership team, from Tom Armstrong to now adding 3 trusted former colleagues from Live Area and BVA Accenture, all with great resumes in the space, and this type of talent is hard to find. That said, there are 2 or 3 roles who must be seen as up for grab as the company moves forward: head of marketing, head of sales, and possibly either head of product or technology, or both, or all of them. As far as marketing and sales, like the 3 recent partnership-oriented roles, they were under Travis's leadership prior to being named CEO, so likely he already had this in the works. Product and technology is likely still under review, as they were under the leadership of Brent, the former CEO. Not to say a change is definitely coming, but it makes sense that these areas are under new scrutiny. My prediction? It's safer to bet that something needs to change than something needs to stay the same. But who knows? Least of all me. Why? BigCommerce needs to make big bets. See what I did there? Its go-to-market teams have been fond of pointing out gaps between their solution and Shopify over the years, gaps that have mostly evaporated on the B2C side, yet their B2B solution is powerful yet complicated. Is it too complicated? Witness, BigCommerce is viewed by some as kind of a down-market commerce tools given its mock ties. Shopify will be interested in testing the theory if BigCommerce is too complex or not as it starts to learn and improve its native B2B section of the market. A section that they probably know the least about of all the markets they compete in, from my read. Certainly less than BigCommerce. Another theory that is sure to be tested by Shopify going forward: where the blue ocean is. BigCommerce, for its part, is surely looking for that clear blue ocean lane that it can travel in away from Shopify. It only makes sense. The problem with BigCommerce sailing for blue ocean is simple, however. BigCommerce is only big enough to make one big bet. Shopify can afford to make several very large bets. So finding open sailing away from Shopify going forward will continue to be a challenge. Still, the industry needs good provider competition, like badly. BigCommerce is not unique in wanting to find clear sailing away from Shopify as well. Shopware, Vtex, Spryker, Kibo, and others are too. And as an example of what I mean here, Commerce Tools is sailing into healthcare, which is a regulated space and hard to enter. Are there other forgotten areas of e-commerce? That could be part of the big bet. And what about Salesforce for its part? Sure, they're still in the mix. Big customers and big contracts aplenty based on their long history. However, at least in the short term, likely their big commerce question, get it, is not one of customer acquisition. Instead, it's more about net revenue retention. In other words, fixing that bucket which is increasingly getting leakier as more sharks circle the Salesforce gold pile. Sharks circling gold piles? What the hell did I do just there? And no agent force introduced by Salesforce is going to fix that leaking bucket on its own. It's that time, friends, for our Investor Minute. We have 5 items on the menu today. First, Beyond to invest $40 million in the Container Store. Beyond has announced a strategic partnership with the Container Store in which they will invest $40 million as part of a preferred equity transaction. Beyond will also integrate the Container Store's custom spaces, Alpha, and Preston brands into its e-commerce offerings and future Bed Bath & Beyond stores. Can we all agree that Beyond is now a licensing operation that is looking for retail partners, and a failing licensing operation at that? Second, supply chain automation startup BackOps.ai secures $2 million in pre-seed funding. Supply chain logistics automation platform BackOps.ai raised $2 million, which will be used to invest in its technology. Another AI startup claims to be the central nervous system for a part of e-commerce. What does that mean? Third, supply chain platform Autone raises $17 million in Series A funding. UK-based inventory management platform Autone has raised $17 million in Series A funding, which will be used to enter the US market and hire engineers and product talent. Fourth, sprouted buckwheat snacks brand Little Bucks raises $3 million in Series A funding. Chicago-based sprouted buckwheat better-for-you snacks and toppings manufacturer Buckwheat Snacks has raised $3 million in Series A growth funding that will be invested in retail, marketing, talent, and new products. Healthy, better-for-you snacks have been a trend in 2024 for entrepreneurs and incumbents. What happens in 2025? Have we not seen this movie before? Hello, D2C hype. And finally, Avalara acquires invoice platform Hopscotch. Avalara has acquired B2B invoice and full payment platform Hopscotch for an undisclosed amount. When Vista Equity Partners acquired Avalara in 2022, it put in motion the PE playbook to acquire growth via companies such as Hopscotch to offer more services to the small and medium-sized business sector. And today's final word of the week for October 28th, 2024 is community. In case you hadn't noticed, we're building something a little different here at RMW Commerce. We're a consulting company, but not only a consulting company. We're industry analysts, but not your typical analyst. We're independent, principled, and opinionated. And we're putting together what you might call an e-commerce summit as part of NRF and Shop Talk 2025. If you're interested in hearing more about this, please reach out. It should be a fun time, and you'll hear more soon. Also, did I mention 2025? We're planning at least 2 more podcasts, an entirely new track of content, a revamped website, and more events. If your company would like our help breaking through in a crowded e-commerce provider market, don't hesitate to reach out. Did you know that RMW Commerce has a brand new podcast? Check out the Watson Weekend for an unfiltered and lively e-commerce chat each week with me, Rick Watson, my co-host Jess Lasewski, and an array of interesting guests and topics, all focused on e-commerce. You can find the Watson Weekend by searching for it on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. That's all for this week. Till next time, Watsonians. Hi, I'm Rick Watson, CEO and founder of RMW Commerce Consulting and host of the Watson Weekly Podcast, your essential e-commerce digest. Our production partner for the series is Citizen Racecar. The show is produced by Jose Baez. To hear new episodes of the show every Monday morning, subscribe now at rmwcommerce.com/WatsonWeekly and wherever you get your podcasts.